What's up, family? So we're going to talk about the Indiana Fever and the Washington Mystics. And look, this was a 30-point demolition, an absolute demolition. This win right here wasn't just a win. It officially punched their ticket into the 2025 playoffs. And on top of that, set a new franchise record for wins. This is a story of how a team that's been dealing with adversity, playing without their superstar, Caden Clark, just came out and told the entire WNBA that they are far from finished. And to get why this 94-65 blowout is so massive, you have to understand what this Fever team has been through. After making the playoffs last year in 2024, everyone's thinking the only way is up, a straight line towards contention. But it's been a tough, tough road. Obviously, losing your generational talent like Caitlin Clark and even temporarily would be a death blow for most teams. Just a few weeks ago, the playoff picture looked incredibly murky. The Fever had dropped to the eighth seed, and there were these complicated tiebreaker scenarios where they could win out the rest of their games and still potentially miss the postseason. And the pressure was immense. Every game basically became a must win. They were a team held together by sheer will, led by Coach Stephanie White, who refuses to let her team make any excuses. And this game against Washington wasn't just any game on the schedule, it was their whole season in a nutshell. And it was a chance to silence the doubters, control their own destiny, and prove that the heart of this team was stronger than any injury report. And honestly, the game didn't start as a blowout. It was a tense back and forth affair in the first half. You could feel the playoff intensity right from the tip. I thought Washington was so good in the first half, but with just over 3 minutes left in the second quarter, something just shifted. Reserve guard um, Shey Peddy, one of the players brought into patch the holes on this roster, knocked down a huge 3-point jumper to give the Fever a 37 a 37 to 34 lead, and they would never trail again. And that shot was the spark. The Fever closed the half with a 45-38 lead, and whatever was said in that locker room at halftime, it worked. And the Indiana Fever that came out for the third quarter were a different beast, and they were suffocating. The entire Washington Mystics team were non-factors in the second half, which I love to see. And they were held to just 9 points in the entire third quarter. 9 points. The Fever, meanwhile, started turning defense into offense, forcing turnovers and getting out in transition. A driving layup from Kelsey Mitchell earlier in the quarter pushed the lead to double digits, and the floodgates just opened. And the story of this game can be told in one stat because the Mystics turned the ball over 21 times, and the Fever, playing with discipline, turned those 21 mistakes into 27 points. And it was a masterclass. And while the Mystics were fumbling the ball away, the Fever took amazing care of it, committed only 6 turnovers themselves for the entire game. By the time the fourth quarter rolled around, it was a full-on party for Indiana. The lead ballooned to as many as 33 points. It was a true team effort. So how does a team that's been dealing with this much pull off their second largest margin of victory of the season? I'm going to be honest. It comes down to two things: leadership and identity. First, Aliyah Boston. With Clark on the sideline, she had to carry a huge load. And in this game, she delivered a performance that basically screamed, "This is my team." And a double double with 12 points, as you guys can see, 11 rebounds is great, but it was her 5 assists, I got to say. Um, and her presence on both ends that set the tone. When she was asked if there were ever any doubt they could do this, and she just said, "You never doubt yourself and what you're capable of, no matter what happens." That was really our mindset. And we never doubted ourselves, never doubted that we could be in the playoffs. That's what Leah Boston said word for word. And that's the mentality you want from your leader, and it's clearly spread to the rest of the team. And second, this team has built a new identity, as we know, under head coach Stephanie White. And they're a tough defensive minded unit that loves to create chaos, holding the Mystics to 27 points in the entire second half. Isn't a fluke, it's the game plan. Players like Natasha Howard, who led the team with 17 points, and Ariel Powers, um, she who came off the bench with an explosive 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists, and have just perfectly embodied this energy. And Shey Peddy, the reserve who hit that go-ahead three, was a perfect 5 for 5. 5 for 5, man. She was a perfect 5 for 5 for 13 points. And this wasn't a build by one star. It was a win built by a collective of players who have bought into a system, refused to be defined by who wasn't on the floor or who isn't on the floor. And the 94-65 victory was so more than just one game for the franchise. It's massive. With this win, the team improved to 23-20, officially setting a new franchise record for the most wins in a single season. And this is their first winning campaign since 2015, breaking a long and, let's be honest, painful cycle of rebuilding for a fan base that has stayed loyal through some very lean years. This is what they've been waiting for. Clinching the playoff spot for the second straight year signals a new era. But maybe the most exciting part for the fans is that thanks to the new WNBA playoff format, it looks like they're guaranteed to host a playoff game at Gainbridge Fieldhouse for the first time since 2015. Playoff basketball is coming back to Indy. And this win sends a message to the rest of the league. The Fever are not a fragile team that depends on one player. They are resilient, well coached, and have a powerful identity. And to do this is to set a franchise record and clinch a playoff spot after the adversity they've been facing. Just speaks volumes about the culture that's been built there. So now the focus shifts to the playoffs. With the win, they lock up at least the number 7 seed, and they could still climb to the number 6 seed if they win their last game against the Minnesota Lynx in Golden State, where rookies lose out. Lose out. And the playoff matchups are going to be brutal by getting at least the 7th seed or the 17th seed. I mean, the 7th seed, sorry, family. But by getting at least the 7th seed, they avoid the top seeded Lynx, which is good, but their likely opponents are still juggernauts like the Atlanta Dream, Las Vegas Aces, or Phoenix Mercury. And let's be realistic, the road for the Fever will be incredibly difficult. I'm not being unrealistic here. The betting odds give them the lowest championship odds of any playoff team, mainly because of the questions around playing without their main playmaker and Clark. And winning a playoff series is going to require them to play near perfect basketball, and they'll have to lean on that suffocating defense and get huge performances from Aliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell on the bench, and they're going to be the underdogs in any series they play. But if this season has taught us anything, it's that the Indiana Fever team loves it when they're counted out. They face adversity all year and have only gotten stronger, and are basically playing with house money now. And a team with nothing to lose is a very dangerous opponent. And you just never know. Maybe they could mess around and get a dub. The Indiana Fever have proven they have a heart of a champion, even when their roster is tested, and they set a franchise record for wins and are heading back to the playoffs with a guaranteed home game for their fans. And this victory over the Mystics wasn't just a win, it was the payoff for a season of fighting against the odds. Now they face their biggest challenge yet in the playoffs. But what do you think? How far can this resilient defense first Fever team go into the postseason without Caitlin Clark? Can Aliyah Boston lead them to the first round upset? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more WNBA content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. On that note, family, peace.